Now, we may have been taught to think of ourselves as isolated beings, separate from the world around us, but in reality there is no separation. There is only one vast, interconnected whole. You are not a mere speck in an infinite void. You are, in fact, the entire cosmos, experiencing itself through the form of a human being. We see ourselves as individuals, each with a unique identity. But this sense of separation, this illusion of the self, is just that, an illusion. There is no you separate from the universe. You are the universe. Everything that you are, every breath you take, is the expression of the cosmos itself. Your body, your thoughts, your feelings are not isolated from the world. They are the universe's way of knowing itself, of experiencing itself. Consider the nature of consciousness. We often think of it as something confined to us, something that resides within us. But in truth, consciousness is not something we have. Consciousness is the very fabric of the universe. The stars in the sky are conscious of their existence in the way they shine. The mountains are conscious of their presence in the way they stand. And you, in your awareness, are an extension of that same consciousness. It is not you that is conscious. It is the universe that has become aware through you. Life itself is a flow, an endless unfolding. It is like a river that never stops. And just as waves rise and fall upon the surface of the river, we are the waves. We are the moments, constantly changing, constantly moving. Yet we are not separate from the river. We are the river. The ocean and the wave are one. We look around us and see forms, trees, animals, mountains, and people. These forms, though solid in appearance, are fleeting expressions of the formless void beneath. The forms come and go, but the void remains. You are a form, an expression of the universe at this point in time, but your essence is formless. And in that formlessness you are bound to everything. You are not a fixed object. You are a dance of energy, continuously shifting, continuously evolving. Everything is connected. There is no other. Every blade of grass, every star, every person is woven into the same cosmic fabric. You are not merely a part of the universe. You are the universe. The thoughts in your mind are not your own. They are the thoughts of the universe manifesting through you. Life is a cosmic play. We are not actors playing separate roles, but rather we are both the actor and the audience. We perform in this grand play of existence, but the boundaries between performer and observer are an illusion. You are not watching life unfold from the outside. You are life unfolding, experiencing itself, playing both the part of the Creator and the creation. In this realization there is no need for striving or efforting. You do not need to make yourself into something more, because you already are everything. You are already the universe, unfolding, expressing, becoming. The art of life is not in becoming something else, but in simply being in the present moment, allowing yourself to flow with the natural rhythm of the universe. So, remember, you are the universe. You are not separate from it. You are the cosmos, experiencing itself through your unique form. Embrace this truth, and you will begin to see that there is no limit to who you are and what you can become, for you already are everything. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos itself, experiencing its own vastness through the form of a human being. There is a deeply ingrained belief that we are individual, isolated entities, standing apart from everything else in the world, as if we are merely spectators of the universe, watching it unfold from some distant vantage point. But this belief is a misconception. The truth is, there is no separation. You and the universe are one. There is no you that exists independently from everything else. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through your consciousness. You see, we have been conditioned to think of ourselves as separate from the world around us, an independent entity in a vast sea of objects. We often view ourselves as isolated from nature, disconnected from the stars, the planets, and the earth. We identify with our bodies, our minds, and our experiences, creating a clear boundary between who we are and everything else. But if you look deeply enough, you begin to see that these distinctions are only superficial. They are illusions we've built in our minds, not truths of our existence. The universe is not something out there that we are a part of. It is something that flows through us, around us, and within us. It is not distant or detached. It is the very essence of our being. The cosmos is not some vast, cold, mechanical machine that exists outside of us, operating in a way that we cannot touch or influence. No, the universe is alive, vibrant, and conscious, and you, my friend, are not a mere observer of this great cosmic dance. You are a participant in it. You are the rhythm, the movement, the energy. You are the universe experiencing itself from this particular point of view. The reason we perceive ourselves as separate from the world is because we have forgotten that we are the world. We have become so caught up in our identities, in our personal stories, that we forget to recognize that we are not separate from the whole. When you look at yourself, you see a person, a body, a mind, a collection of thoughts and experiences. But take a step back, and you will begin to understand that these things are not fixed and independent. Your body, your mind, your thoughts, these are not isolated from the rest of existence. They are expressions of it. Your breath is the wind. Your blood is the river that flows through the earth. The stars in the sky are made of the same elements that compose your cells. The same energy that lights up the universe is the energy that is within you, flowing through your veins. There is a profound unity in this. You and the universe are not two separate things. The boundaries we place around ourselves, these ideas of self, are not walls that divide us from the rest of existence. They are merely temporary forms, momentary expressions of an infinite whole. The self is not a static thing. It is a fluid, ever-changing dance of energy. It is the wave on the surface of the ocean, always moving, always shifting, yet never separate from the ocean itself. When you realize this, when you begin to understand that you are not separate from the cosmos, you start to see the world in a new light. You begin to feel the interconnectedness of all things. You are no longer an isolated individual trying to make your way in the world, but rather you become part of the flow, part of the great unfolding of existence. You begin to understand that there is no other. There is no distinction between you and the world. There is only one great movement, and you are an integral part of it. This realization is both humbling and liberating. It humbles us because it shows us that we are not the center of the universe. We are a part of it. And yet it also liberates us because it frees us from the illusion of separateness, from the constant struggle to assert our individual identity. We no longer have to fight against the world or see ourselves as something apart from it. Instead, we can relax into the natural flow of existence, knowing that we are in perfect harmony with the whole. In recognizing the unity of self and cosmos, we also come to understand that we are not limited by our personal experiences, our individual stories. We are vast, infinite beings, intimately connected to everything around us. The universe does not end at the edge of your skin. It extends infinitely outward, and it extends infinitely inward. The same energy that drives the stars also drives the thoughts in your mind. The same laws that govern the universe govern your life. The same consciousness that lights up the cosmos is the consciousness that is aware of itself through you. So, when you look at the stars, when you listen to the wind, when you feel the earth beneath your feet, remember that these are not separate from you. They are you. You are the universe, experiencing itself through this unique form, at this particular point in time. There is no separation, no division. There is only one vast, endless, beautiful whole, and you are an expression of it, unfolding moment by moment. We live with a fundamental illusion, the belief that we are separate from the world, from each other, and from the universe itself. This belief is so deeply ingrained in us that we rarely question it. We perceive ourselves as isolated individuals, as distinct and separate beings, living in a world of objects and other people. But when we examine this belief, when we look closely, we begin to realize that it is nothing more than a construct of the mind, an illusion that distorts our perception of reality. At the core of this illusion is the idea of the self. As a separate entity, distinct from everything else around it, we think of ourselves as individuals, each with our own thoughts, desires, and actions, as if we are separate from the flow of life, from the universe. We view ourselves as little islands, isolated in a vast ocean of existence. This sense of separation shapes how we see the world and how we live in it. It leads us to believe that our happiness, our success, and our well-being depend on things outside of us, on circumstances, on achievements, on possessions, on the approval of others. We seek validation from the world outside, as if it were something separate from us, something we must conquer or control. But what if this separation is an illusion? What if, in reality, there is no you, separate from the world around you? What if the very idea of self is a temporary, ever-changing construct, no more real than a passing thought or a fleeting sensation? The truth is, the boundaries we create between ourselves and the rest of the world are arbitrary. They are not inherent in the nature of things. They are merely the result of how we have learned to see the world. When you strip away the labels, the identities, the stories we tell ourselves, you begin to see that we are not separate from the world. We are the world. We are not separate from the universe. We are the universe experiencing itself. Consider this for a moment. Everything that exists around you, every tree, every mountain, every star, is made of the same fundamental energy. The atoms that make up your body are the same atoms that make up the stars. The same forces that govern the universe also govern the processes within you. The same laws of nature that shape the cosmos shape your life. You are not a separate, isolated entity. You are an expression of the universe. You are not apart from nature. You are nature, unfolding in this particular form. The universe is not something out there that you are observing. It is something that is happening within you as you. When we look at the world through the lens of separation, we create divisions between us and them, between self and other, between human and nature. We divide life into categories, into neat little boxes that we can label and control. But these divisions are artificial. They are products of the mind, not reflections of the true nature of reality. The truth is that everything is interconnected. There is no you that exists independently of the rest of existence. There is no other. There is only the flow of life, and you are an integral part of it. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, they are not separate from the world around you. They are expressions of the same energy that drives the stars, that moves the oceans, that creates life. In reality, there is no boundary between self and other. The separation we feel is merely the result of our conditioned thinking, of the way we have been taught to view the world. But when we step back from this conditioning and look deeply into the nature of things, we see that we are not separate from the world. We are the world. We are not separate from the people around us. We are the people around us. The same consciousness that is aware of itself through you is the same consciousness that is aware of itself through every other person, every animal, every tree. We are all expressions of the same underlying awareness, the same universal consciousness. This realization can be both liberating and humbling. It liberates us from the constant struggle for individuality. the need to define ourselves in opposition to others. When we understand that we are not separate, we can let go of the need to compete, to assert our identity, to protect ourselves from the world. We can relax into the flow of life, knowing that we are not isolated, but part of the vast, interconnected web of existence. And it humbles us because it reminds us that we are not the center of the universe. We are a part of it, a unique expression of it, but not separate from it. We are a wave on the ocean, a note in the cosmic symphony. So, the next time you feel separate, the next time you feel alone or disconnected from the world, remember that it is an illusion. You are not apart from the world. You are the world, experiencing itself through your unique perspective. The boundaries you feel are only in your mind. In truth, there is no separation. There is only the flow of life, and you are a part of that flow. You are not an isolated individual. You are the universe unfolding, becoming, experiencing itself. Consciousness is a mysterious, elusive force that shapes everything we experience. We cannot touch it, see it, or measure it directly, and yet it is the lens through which we perceive reality. It is the foundation of our existence, the very essence of what it means to be alive, to be aware, to be I. But what is consciousness really? Is it something separate from us, or is it the very fabric of the universe itself? We often think of consciousness as something that resides within our minds, as if it is a product of the brain. We speak of it as if it were an object or an entity, something that we possess, like a tool or a possession. But the more we delve into the nature of consciousness, the more we begin to see that this view is incomplete, even misleading. Consciousness is not something that resides in us. It is not contained within the boundaries of the brain or the body. Rather, consciousness is the very essence of the universe itself, the force that makes life possible, the fundamental energy that gives rise to everything we experience. Think of consciousness not as something that belongs to us, but as something that we are part of. It is the medium through which everything is perceived, the very ground of being. Just as light illuminates the world and allows us to see, consciousness illuminates our experience, making it possible for us to be aware of ourselves and the world around us. Without consciousness, there would be no perception, no experience. There would be no I to recognize that I am. In this way, consciousness is both the observer and the observed. It is both the experiencer and the experience itself. But if consciousness is the essence of all things, why do we feel so separate from it? Why do we experience ourselves as individuals, as separate beings, isolated from the rest of the world? The answer lies in the illusion of separation, the belief that we are distinct, isolated entities, disconnected from the vast web of life. This belief creates the illusion of a separate self, a self that perceives itself as separate from everything else. But in truth, this self is nothing more than a mental construct, a fleeting thought, a temporary sensation. It is not the true nature of who we are. The true nature of who we are is consciousness itself, one with the entire universe, indivisible, infinite. If we look closely, we begin to see that the sense of separation is only an illusion, a trick of the mind. In reality, we are not separate from the world around us. We are not isolated from the cosmos. We are part of it. We are the very expression of consciousness, unfolding in this moment, experiencing itself through our unique perspective. We are not separate from the stars, the trees, the earth. We are them. We are not separate from the people we meet, from the experiences we have. We are the entire flow of life, experiencing itself through these transient forms. The I that we think we are is not an isolated individual, but a temporary expression of the infinite consciousness that pervades all things. Consciousness is not confined to our minds. It is the very fabric of existence, the energy that flows through all things. It is the force that animates the universe, that gives rise to life, that makes everything possible. It is not something we have, it is what we are. Our thoughts, our emotions, our experiences, they are all expressions of the same consciousness that is aware of itself through us, and just as the waves of the ocean are not separate from the ocean itself, we are not separate from consciousness. We are part of it, inseparable, indivisible. The more we begin to understand this, the more we realize that our sense of separation is simply a misunderstanding, a product of our conditioned thinking. We have been taught to think of ourselves as individuals, as separate from the rest of the world, as if we are somehow disconnected from the vast cosmos. But when we look deeply, we see that this is not true. We are not separate. We are the universe experiencing itself through us. We are the consciousness of the universe, becoming aware of itself through this unique perspective, this body, this mind. When we come to this realization, we begin to live differently. We no longer see ourselves as isolated beings struggling to survive, fighting for our own survival, for our own success. Instead, we see ourselves as part of a vast, interconnected whole. We understand that our thoughts, our actions, our very being are all expressions of the same consciousness that animates everything else. We realize that we are not separate from the world, but one with it. We are not separate from the people around us, but part of them. The same consciousness that is aware of itself through us is the same consciousness that is aware of itself through every living thing. In this understanding there is freedom. There is no longer a need to struggle, to fight, to prove ourselves. We are not isolated individuals competing with one another. We are expressions of the same consciousness, unfolding in unique ways, but always part of the whole. There is no other. There is only the flow of life, moving through us, around us, within us. When we come to understand the true nature of consciousness, we realize that we are not just observers of the world. We are the world experiencing itself. Life is not a static thing. It is a continuous flow, an unfolding, a movement that never ceases. We often think of life as something we must control, something we must navigate with precision, as if we are captains of a ship, steering it through calm waters or violent storms. But in truth, life is more like a river that is always moving, always changing, always flowing toward an unknown destination. It is not something we can control. It is something we are part of, something that carries us along with it, whether we realize it or not. We have been conditioned to think of life as a series of fixed events, milestones we must reach, goals we must achieve. We think of time as a linear progression, a straight line from birth to death, with a beginning and an end. But this linear view of life is just another illusion. Life is not a straight line. It is a circle, a spiral, a flow. It is a movement that transcends time, a rhythm that beats in every heart, in every living thing. The moment we try to grip it, to control it, to bend it to our will, we find that it slips through our fingers like water, forever beyond our grasp. The truth is, life is not something we can force or shape according to our desires. It is not something we can will into being. It is not a set of tasks to be completed or goals to be met. Life is a flow, and we are the water. We are not separate from the flow, we are part of it. Every thought, every action, every breath is part of this continuous unfolding. The more we try to control life, the more we resist its natural flow, the more we create friction and struggle for ourselves. It is only when we let go of the need to control, when we allow ourselves to be carried by the current, that we begin to experience the beauty and ease of life. Think of a river. It doesn't struggle to move. It doesn't worry about where it's going or whether it's going in the right direction. The river simply flows. It is moved by forces beyond its control, the rain, the mountains, the earth. But the river is also shaped by these forces, and it shapes everything it touches in return. It carves out valleys, nourishes the earth, carries life with it as it flows. It doesn't need to know where it's going. It simply moves, and in that movement it is both part of the whole and uniquely itself. It is the flow of life. We are the same. We are not separate from the flow. We are the river, the wave, the current, and yet we often forget this. We forget that we are part of the greater flow of life. We become caught up in the illusion of control, of individual achievement, of trying to shape life into something we think we want. We become obsessed with reaching some imagined destination, with completing the journey, but in doing so we forget to flow. We forget to be the river. There is a tremendous freedom in allowing ourselves to be part of the flow of life. It doesn't mean giving up our desires or ambitions. It simply means understanding that we are not separate from the current. We don't need to fight against it. We don't need to swim upstream. We need to trust the flow, to allow ourselves to be carried along with it. Life will take us where we need to go if we let it. The more we try to fight it, the more we struggle against it, the more we create unnecessary pain and suffering for ourselves. But when we relax, when we trust the flow, we find that life moves us in ways we never could have imagined. This flow of life is not just something that happens on the outside. It is something that happens within us as well. Our thoughts, our emotions, our experiences, these are part of the flow. They rise and fall like waves in the ocean, like clouds in the sky. They are temporary, fleeting, ever-changing, but just as the river is always moving, so too are we always moving. We are constantly changing, evolving, shifting with the tides of life. And just like the river, we are shaped by the flow, and we shape the flow in return. The flow of life is not something that happens to us. It is something we are part of. It is an energy that moves through us, an energy that is both creative and destructive, both beautiful and terrifying, but it is always moving, always unfolding. When we surrender to it, when we let go of the need to control or resist, we begin to experience life as it truly is, a beautiful, ever-changing dance, a movement that is both vast and intimate, both cosmic and personal. So, let go, trust the flow, stop trying to control every moment, every decision, every outcome. Allow life to unfold naturally. Be the river, be the wave, be the current. You are not separate from this flow. You are it. And in this understanding you will find peace, freedom, and the true beauty of life. The flow of life is not something to fight against. It is something to embrace, to live with, to be part of. It is the very essence of existence, and you are its expression. Consciousness is a mysterious, elusive force that shapes everything we experience. We cannot touch it, see it, or measure it directly, and yet it is the lens through which we perceive reality. It is the foundation of our existence, the very essence of what it means to be alive, to be aware, to be I. But what is consciousness really? Is it something separate from us, or is it the very fabric of the universe itself? We often think of consciousness as something that resides within our minds, as if it is a product of the brain. We speak of it as if it were an object or an entity, something that we possess, like a tool or a possession. But the more we delve into the nature of consciousness, the more we begin to see that this view is incomplete, even misleading. Consciousness is not something that resides in us. It is not contained within the boundaries of the brain or the body. Rather, consciousness is the very essence of the universe itself, the force that makes life possible, the fundamental energy that gives rise to everything we experience. Think of consciousness not as something that belongs to us, but as something that we are part of. It is the medium through which everything is perceived, the very ground of being. Just as light illuminates the world and allows us to see, consciousness illuminates our experience, making it possible for us to be aware of ourselves and the world around us. Without consciousness, there would be no perception, no experience. There would be no I to recognize that I am. In this way, consciousness is both the observer and the observed. It is both the experiencer and the experience itself. But if consciousness is the essence of all things, why do we feel so separate from it? Why do we experience ourselves as individuals, as separate beings, isolated from the rest of the world? The answer lies in the illusion of separation, the belief that we are distinct, isolated entities, disconnected from the vast web of life. This belief creates the illusion of a separate self, a self that perceives itself as separate from everything else, but in truth this self is nothing more than a mental construct, a fleeting thought, a temporary sensation. It is not the true nature of who we are. The true nature of who we are is consciousness itself, one with the entire universe, indivisible, infinite. If we look closely, we begin to see that the sense of separation is only an illusion, a trick of the mind. In reality, we are not separate from the world around us. We are not isolated from the cosmos. We are part of it. We are the very expression of consciousness, unfolding in this moment, experiencing itself through our unique perspective. We are not separate from the stars, the trees, the earth. We are them. We are not separate from the people we meet, from the experiences we have. We are the entire flow of life, experiencing itself through these transient forms. The I that we think we are is not an isolated individual, but a temporary expression of the infinite consciousness that pervades all things. Consciousness is not confined to our minds. It is the very fabric of existence, the energy that flows through all things. It is the force that animates the universe, that gives rise to life, that makes everything possible. It is not something we have, it is what we are. Our thoughts, our emotions, our experiences, they are all expressions of the same consciousness that is aware of itself through us. And just as the waves of the ocean are not separate from the ocean itself, we are not separate from consciousness. We are part of it, inseparable, indivisible. The more we begin to understand this, the more we realize that our sense of separation is simply a misunderstanding, a product of our conditioned thinking. We have been taught to think of ourselves as individuals, as separate from the rest of the world, as if we are somehow disconnected from the vast cosmos. But when we look deeply, we see that this is not true. We are not separate. We are the universe experiencing itself through us. We are the consciousness of the universe, becoming aware of itself through this unique perspective, this body, this mind. When we come to this realization, we begin to live differently. We no longer see ourselves as isolated beings struggling to survive, fighting for our own survival, for our own success. Instead, we see ourselves as part of a vast, interconnected whole. We understand that our thoughts, our actions, our very being are all expressions of the same consciousness that animates everything else. We realize that we are not separate from the world, but one with it. We are not separate from the people around us, but part of them. The same consciousness that is aware of itself through us is the same consciousness that is aware of itself through every living thing. In this understanding there is freedom. There is no longer a need to struggle, to fight, to prove ourselves. We are not isolated individuals competing with one another. We are expressions of the same consciousness, unfolding in unique ways, but always part of the whole. There is no other. There is only the flow of life moving through us, around us, within us. When we come to understand the true nature of consciousness, we realize that we are not just observers of the world. We are the world experiencing itself. Life, in its most profound essence, is a dance between form and emptiness. It is a rhythm, a movement that arises from the interplay between what appears to be solid, tangible, and real, and that which is formless, vast, and boundless. This dance is not something that takes place outside of us. It is the very essence of our existence. It is the pulse of the universe itself, the continuous flow between being and non-being, between manifestation and the void. At first glance, the world seems to be made up of solid objects, things we can touch, see, and measure. We walk through life surrounded by forms, by bodies, buildings, trees, and stars. These forms seem to be the essence of reality. They appear to be permanent, distinct, separate. We become so caught up in the world of form that we forget about the emptiness that gives it life. But the truth is, form cannot exist without emptiness. The very nature of form is dependent upon the vast, boundless emptiness in which it arises. Without emptiness, form would have no space to manifest. Without emptiness, there would be no form. They are two sides of the same coin, inseparable, interdependent. Consider the space in a room. The room's walls, floor, and ceiling are solid, but what gives the room its purpose, its meaning, is the space within it, the emptiness that allows the room to exist as a room. Without this emptiness, the walls would have no meaning. They would simply be an endless expanse of solid material. Similarly, the forms in our lives, the objects, the people, the experiences, are given meaning, context, and life by the emptiness that surrounds them. Without emptiness, there would be no form, no distinction, no differentiation. But emptiness is not what we often think of it as. We tend to think of emptiness as a vacuum, as something devoid of life, of meaning, of substance. But this is a misunderstanding. True emptiness is not an absence, it is a presence. It is not nothingness, it is the boundless, formless potential from which everything arises. It is the space in which all things come into being and return to. It is the stillness at the heart of the dance, the silence in which the music is heard. Emptiness is full, not empty. It is rich with possibility, pregnant with potential. The dance between form and emptiness is not something that happens at a distance. It is happening within us right now. Our bodies, our minds, our very thoughts are all forms that arise from emptiness. We are constantly moving between form and emptiness, between being and non-being. Every thought we have is a form that arises from the formless emptiness of consciousness. Every breath we take is a dance between inhalation and exhalation, between form and the formless. Our entire experience of life is a continuous flow between what we call form and what we call emptiness. But this dance is not always smooth. We often struggle with it. We become attached to form. We cling to the things we can see, the things we can touch, the things we can hold. We become obsessed with accumulating more form, more possessions, more achievements, thinking that these will give us stability, meaning, and purpose. But the more we cling to form, the more we forget about emptiness, the emptiness that allows all form to arise, the emptiness that connects us to the universe, to each other, to the source of all things. In our obsession with form, we become disconnected from the emptiness, from the boundless space in which all things arise. We forget that form is always in flux, always changing. The things we cling to will eventually fade, dissolve, and return to the emptiness from which they came. Nothing in this world is permanent. Everything is in a constant state of becoming and passing away. This is the nature of the dance. But when we remember the emptiness, when we recognize it as the ground of our being, we begin to experience life differently. We no longer become so attached to the forms we encounter, the things we acquire, or the identities we create. Instead, we learn to move with the dance. We understand that form is not separate from emptiness, that everything is in constant flux, and that the more we allow ourselves to flow with this dance, the more we align ourselves with the natural rhythm of the universe. The emptiness is not something to fear. It is not something to be avoided. It is the source of all life, the ground of all being. It is not a vacuum, a nothingness. It is a fullness, a richness, an infinite potential. It is the vast, unchanging stillness at the heart of the ever-changing dance of form. And when we allow ourselves to move with this dance, we realize that we are not separate from it. We are the dance itself, the form and the emptiness in perfect harmony, unfolding in this moment, just as the universe unfolds itself through us. So, let go of the need to hold on to form. Let go of the attachment to the material world, to the transient things that seem so important. Embrace the emptiness that surrounds and pervades all things. Recognize that you are not separate from this dance. You are both the form and the emptiness. You are the very movement of the universe, flowing between the formless and the formed, always in motion, always in harmony. This is the dance of life. There is a fundamental truth woven into the fabric of existence that we often overlook, and that truth is interconnectedness. Everything in this universe, every atom, every breath, every heartbeat, is intimately tied to everything else. There is no such thing as a separate self, isolated and alone. That notion is a useful illusion, yes, but an illusion nonetheless. In reality, you are not a thing among other things. You are a process in an ongoing cosmic event, a ripple in the infinite sea of being. When you look at a tree, you may see it as an object out there, separate from yourself, but look deeper, and you begin to see something profoundly different. The tree breathes in carbon dioxide and breathes out oxygen. You breathe in that oxygen and release carbon dioxide. This is not interaction, this is interbeing. You are not separate from the tree. You are breathing each other into existence. Sunlight that nourishes the leaves, the soil that holds its roots, the water that moves through its veins, these two are part of the same system, the same web. And you are not merely a spectator of this process. You are within it. You are it. This is not poetic metaphor. It is not romantic idealism. It is the very structure of reality. From the stars in the sky to the thoughts in your head, everything is part of a single, indivisible dance. When a wave moves across the ocean, we don't say the wave is separate from the sea. We understand that the wave is the ocean expressing itself in a certain form at a certain time. So too are you, the universe, expressing itself as a human being. You are not in the world. You are the world looking at itself, knowing itself, dancing with itself. We suffer because we forget this. We suffer because we buy into the story that we are isolated fragments, struggling to find purpose, meaning, or love in a world that seems indifferent. But the moment we truly see that we are woven into everything, that the wind, the birdsong, the laughter of a stranger are all resonating within us, the suffering begins to loosen its grip. We start to live in harmony with the rhythm of life, not fighting it, not fleeing it, but flowing with it. And this is not something you must achieve. It is not a goal to be reached or a mountain to climb. It is already so. You are already connected to everything. You do not need to become one with the universe. You never left. The illusion of separateness is simply a veil, a dream we dream so convincingly that we forget we're the dreamer. But there comes a moment, perhaps in silence, perhaps in stillness, when the veil thins, and in that moment you realize that you have always been home. So breathe and know that your breath is the breath of the cosmos. Speak and hear the echo of the stars in your voice. Walk through this world not as a stranger, but as a beloved child of it. Every leaf, every raindrop, every heartbeat is singing the same song. We are one. We are one. We are one. When you live from this place, this awareness of your interconnectedness, you no longer act out of fear or scarcity. Compassion becomes natural, not as a virtue, but as a recognition of shared being. Love flows freely, not as an obligation, but as the natural radiance of seeing yourself. In all things, you don't need to fix the world because you begin to realize the world is not broken. It is simply remembering itself through you. And so, in this great, mysterious unfolding of life, remember, you are not alone. You never have been. The very same energy that burns in the heart of the sun stirs in the depths of your soul. The same intelligence that spins galaxies guides your footsteps. To know this deeply is to be free, not from the world, but in it, not above life, but fully immersed in it. You are the universe recognizing itself in a moment of infinite beauty. The universe, in its infinite depth and mystery, is not a machine grinding toward a final goal, nor is it a static structure frozen in time. It is, rather, a play, a cosmic dance, a divine performance of endless creativity. And like all good plays, It is not about reaching a conclusion or solving a problem. It is about the expression itself, the moment-to-moment unfolding of beauty, wonder, and paradox. The cosmos is not a task to complete, but a melody to enjoy, a rhythm to sway with, a drama to immerse oneself in joyfully, wholeheartedly, with no need to control the outcome. You see, we are so used to thinking of life in terms of utility. Everything must have a purpose, a destination, a measurable outcome. But the deepest truths are never bound by such constraints. Just as music is not played to arrive at the final note, and dance is not performed merely to reach the last step, so too is life not about getting somewhere. It's about the movement, the improvisation, the play. The universe is playing hide and seek with itself, concealing and revealing its own nature, taking on forms, donning masks, pretending to be the separate many while remaining the one underneath it all. You, dear one, are part of this grand performance. You are not a mere spectator in the theater of existence. You are the actor, the stage, the spotlight, and even the playwright. The role you play in this life, your name, your face, your story, is not your burden, but your costume. And what joy it brings the universe to wear your mask for a while, to see through your eyes, to feel your sorrows, your laughter, your small triumphs and quiet fears. This too is the play. This too is sacred. The ancient sages called it *Leela*, the divine play. They knew that behind the apparent seriousness of world there was always a deeper current of joy, of lightness, of divine mischief. When a child plays, they do so with full sincerity. Yet they are not trapped in the game. They know somewhere inside that it is a game, and that is what gives it beauty. We, on the other hand, forget that we are playing. We become so entangled in our roles, our dramas, our plans and fears, that we begin to take it all too seriously. We forget to laugh. We forget that we're improvising a scene with the cosmos, not solving a puzzle left by a distant god. But to awaken is to remember the play, to see the world not as a battlefield, but as a playground, not as a test, but as a theater. This does not mean we become careless or detached. On the contrary, it allows us to engage more fully, to live more vividly, because we are no longer bound by fear. When you know the storm is part of the dance, you do not run from the rain. You spin in it, laugh in it, get soaked in its truth. When you know your joy and your suffering are both notes in the same song, you do not suppress them. You let them rise and fall, like waves returning to the ocean from which they came. Every joy, every loss, every sunrise, and every silence, it's all part of the same eternal performance. And you, as a conscious expression of the cosmos, are invited to participate not by withdrawing from life, but by leaning into it with open arms, by smiling at the absurdity, by embracing the unknown, by playing your part with grace, knowing all the while that the stage is sacred and the script is being written with every breath you take. There is no final curtain, no encore to wait for. This moment, yes, this very one, is the performance, and when you see it clearly, not through the lens of worry or ambition, but with the eyes of wonder, you realize the universe is laughing through you, dancing through you, playing through you. You are not separate from the cosmic play. You are the dance itself. To be simply to be is perhaps the most profound act in the universe, and yet it is the one we often overlook in favor of doing, achieving, becoming. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to strive, to reach, to improve, to shape ourselves into someone or something better. But in all this rushing, we miss the quiet and luminous truth that being itself is enough. You are not required to earn your place in existence. You are not a problem to be solved or a project to be completed. You are an expression of the cosmos, and your being is the cosmos being itself, just here, just now, as you. We live in a culture that idolizes busyness, where stillness is mistaken for laziness and silence for emptiness. But the art of being is not a withdrawal from life. It is an intimate return to it. It is the moment when the mind ceases its constant narration, and you fall into the depth of this present moment without needing to grasp it. It is not passive but alive, not dull but luminous, and in this stillness there is a tremendous clarity, a realization that you do not need to add anything to yourself to be whole. You see, a tree doesn't try to grow, a river doesn't force its way to the ocean, they simply are, and in that being they fulfill their nature. So too with you. Your being is not a thing you must acquire, it is what you already are before all thoughts, all stories, all identities. It is the silent witness behind your eyes, the presence behind the breath, the awareness that listens even now. And when you rest in that awareness, not trying to hold on, not trying to push away, something remarkable happens. You begin to remember yourself, not as a name or a role, but as presence itself. Now, this doesn't mean you stop acting or dreaming or creating. Life moves, it dances, but the art of being is to move without anxiety, to act without clinging, to dream without forgetting that all of it is arising from the stillness that is your very core. It is to be deeply grounded in the now while the world flows around you. It is to see that nothing needs to be added to make this moment complete. Right now, even with all its imperfections, this moment is enough. We tend to look for fulfillment somewhere else, in the future, in success, in the approval of others. But fulfillment is not hidden in some far-off destination. It is found here in the simple aliveness of this breath, this heartbeat, this very awareness reading these words. You don't have to chase after it. You only need to stop running from what already is. When we practice the art of being, we begin to trust life more deeply. We stop needing to control every detail, and we allow ourselves to be held by the same mystery that moves the stars. This is not resignation, it is reverence. It is the difference between swimming against the current and floating with the river, allowing it to carry us not to where we think we should go, but to where we truly belong. And yes, the mind will resist. It will whisper that you must do more, become more, prove more. That is its habit. But the heart knows. Otherwise, the heart knows that to be is not just enough, it is sacred. It is the very pulse of the universe unfolding through you, not as a human being trying to survive, but as consciousness exploring itself through form, through laughter, through tears, through stillness. So let go, just for a moment, let yourself be, without judgment, without effort. Breathe and recognize that this still, vibrant presence, is who you truly are. You are not a machine to be perfected, but a mystery to be lived. You are not on the way to somewhere else. You are the way itself. The art of being is simply this, to remember that what you are already and always is enough. And in that remembrance there is freedom, there is peace, and yes, there is love.